Hi, and today I want to talk to you on a topic which is again of very utmost importance. The topic is OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. So, in this video, I will try my level best to make you all understand what is obsessive compulsive disorder, how obsessive compulsive disorder is related to anxiety, how a person develops OCD, how a person behaves when he or she develops OCD, how OCD negatively affects your mental health, how OCD negatively affects your physiology, how OCD negatively affects a person's personal, professional, and social life, what to avoid when you develop OCD, and 10 effective tips to overcome OCD in a very sustainable way. All right. So I have already written down whatever I had to write in the form of an article. So what I will do is I will read the important points from this particular article that I have written about obsessive compulsive disorder. It is again, this particular article is already published in my website of livingvirtuously.in. But I have understood that many people, they have a they like to read, so that is the reason why I have written a lot of articles. But there are again a lot of people who doesn't prefer reading, they prefer watching videos. And because of that reason, I try to make videos about the topics of mental health, which I have already written in my self-therapy articles. All right, so that is again one of the topic that I want to discuss and take out from my article database is this subject of OCD. All right, so let's begin. So now OCD have become very common because you will come across a lot of people, whether you are watching media or whether in your own personal professional experiences, that people have OCD. Now the way in which a particular person is using the term OCD, that they have OCD, that is again quite subjective to the reality of what OCD actually is. Many people will use that, okay, they are perfectionist by nature. They want everything to be in place. They want everything to happen in time, and they want everything to be organized in a very perfect way. But I don't think that is completely OCD. Yes, there is kind of a compulsive behavior to organize things in a certain way, but that again, many of us, we have it, right? Under certain circumstance, under certain situations, we want things to be in a way that we want them to be, or we want things to be in a very perfect way. What perfection is, as according to our perception, we want things to be exactly looking, feeling in that particular way. But that is actually not OCD. OCD is on a very entirely on a different level. It is a kind of a mental illness. All right. See, there is the word disorder associated with the term OCD. And this is not what a normal people is using it. Like, we are not just thinking that obsessive compulsive behaviors are disorders. It has been defined in the category of mental disorder by medical professionals. All right. So we cannot completely ignore the fact that OCD is a mental disorder. And especially I'm talking about OCD, which is on a very intense level. All right. In a very preliminary level, on a very basic level, OCD, even though it cannot be completely termed as a disorder according to what I feel, it can be somewhat of a mental illness, definitely, but it cannot be completely a disorder, especially when that obsession and compulsions that a particular person has is on a very basic level. And again, I'm repeating it. If that particular problem is not nipped in the bud, it means if a particular person's is unnecessary, irrational obsessions and compulsions are not eradicated from that particular person's mental functioning, then the same obsessions and compulsions can lead to a disorder in the long run. That is, if the initial illness is not properly treated, then in the long run that obsession and compulsions becomes on a very intense level. It creates a havoc in a person's life. In those situations, it is a perfect OCD or perfect case and scenario of OCD, that is obsessive compulsive disorders. All right. So with that being said, we have to take into account the seriousness, importance, and the huge impact of OCD. All right. It is not something to feel very casual about. All right. If in case some people, again I'm saying the same thing, they have obsessions and compulsions to an extent which is irrational, impractical, illogical, and if these things are on a very basic level, a person cannot feel or think that it is very casual, it is very okay for them to have such kind of behaviors and attitude. No. Again I'm saying, if again these problems are not, you know, treated at its root, if they are not nipped in the bud, this such basic problems, irritations can become a very intense, serious disorder in the long run, which a particular person should never have. All right, in the first case or in the first place. So again, I want to, again, before starting off with the subject of OCD, if you have OCD, there is no shame in admitting that you have OCD, all right? Because many people, out of fear, they do not disclose they have OCD problem. They keep that problem to themselves. Only people who are associated with such peoples, they only come to have an understanding that there is something unusual about that person's behavior, about that person's mental, emotional functioning. See, the surrounding people, they have a kind of a doubt, they have a kind of a suspicion that they might have OCD. But a person who is seriously suffering from OCD, in many cases it is found that people, they do not disclose their problem, they do not talk about their problem, and the most important thing, they do not seek any professional help regarding their OCD or OCB, obsessive compulsive behaviors, in the basic level, obsessive compulsive behavior disorders in an intense level. Such people, they do not talk about such problems because especially of fear of stigma. They fear that if other people, they come to know about their OCD problems, about their obsessions and compulsions, their personal and professional reputation might take a negative toll. So because of such fear, because they feel that their professional, personal identity will take a negative turn if other people, they come to know that they are having OCD mental problems. All right, because of such naive, irrational, illogical fear, they are not able to disclose their OCD problem. So I want to say to you in a very, very professional way, in a very true way, all right, also in a very serious way, if you have any problems related to your mental health, whether OCD or whether depression, etc., etc., you need to seek medical help if in case you think that you yourself you are not able to come out of these problems. It is okay to take medical help. If people have physical problems, they're going to a doctor to take help for their physical ailments, right? So just like a people, they can have physical problems, a same person or a different person, they can have mental health problems also. If a particular person has or have mental health problems and issues, it is nothing to feel shameful about. It is nothing to be embarrassed about. It is perfectly okay that you have mental health problems. What you need to do, what is important is you need to seek professional help so that you are able to come out of those problems. All right, that is important. So with that being said, let's start with the topic of OCD. So this particular video might be again a bit lengthy because I have a habit of not making short videos, all right, because I don't think if short videos are helpful whenever I'm sharing knowledge in a detailed way. If I don't share knowledge to you in a proper way, if I don't discuss and share my thoughts to you completely, how you will get benefit from watching my videos? I will try to make it crisp so that the video will not be boring, but I have to make my efforts to discuss whatever important points there is to be discussed. All right. So you have to watch the video completely. You cannot miss even some sections of a video, especially if you want to have proper knowledge, proper guidance about OCD and everything connected with it. All right. So what is OCD? All right. So OCD is a common chronic long lasting disorder, especially again if the problem is not nipped in the bud. So it is a long lasting chronic and also nowadays very common disorder in which a particular person has uncontrollable reoccurring thoughts which are obsessions and behaviors which are compulsions, that same person, he or she, feels the urge to repeat over and over. So these uncontrollable thoughts that are coming inside the person's mind, these are always reoccurring in nature. All right, so these are obsessions, and the compulsions are the behaviors that a particular person does, and that too he or she feels the urge to do such compulsive behaviors in a repeated way. They have the urge to repeat these behaviors. All right. So this is what OCD is in a crisp way. If I want to tell you, OCD is a part of anxiety. All right. So you can say anxiety is the superset and obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is the subset. So anxiety is the primary condition and anxiety leads to OCD. All right. So it's very essential to understand, if you want to address the problem of OCD, it is important to understand and fix the underlying anxiety first. If the anxiety is getting eliminated, OCD will also get eliminated. So in order to treat a particular person of their obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD problems, it is important to analyze and find out what is the underlying anxiety that is causing the OCD in that particular person. And whatever is that anxiety, a professional, a mental health professional needs to remove that anxiety from that person's life in order to completely remove the OCD in a sustainable way. How it is to be done or how is it done, that I will be discussing in this video. So OCD, it breaks down into 4 key areas. All right. Intrusive thoughts, compulsions, controlling behaviors, strategies to cover up the habits. Now, what are all these 4 key areas? Let us discuss. So, intrusive thoughts are basically the compulsions, all right? So, which are actually and mostly unreal and false in reality, all right? So, what are some examples of intrusive thoughts which a particular person who has OCD suffers from? Let's look at some examples. So a particular person will have such involuntary thoughts coming into their mind. That is, did I close the door? Did I harm someone? Will I be harmed by someone? Am I being followed? Did I lock my house? Is my money safe? Will someone steal my money from my bank? Does the pain in my hand means I have something terrible? Does the pain that I have in my head means there is something wrong with my brain? So all of these thoughts, all of these involuntary thoughts, they are always repetitive in nature. All right. So all of these thoughts will come again and again in that particular person's mind who is suffering from OCD. And what happens is, with the repetitions of these intrusive thoughts, a particular person who has OCD, they think that all of these thoughts are real. All right. Means even if that particular person is very, very safe in a secure place, but just that a particular thought is coming into that particular person's mind, that is, will I be harmed by someone? He or she actually thinks that he or she might be harmed by somebody else. So all of these thoughts are mainly false. They do not have any grounds in reality. But according to that particular person, they are living with a perception which is completely false and which is not reality. And the more such involuntary thoughts come into the person's mind, the more a particular person pays heed to such involuntary thoughts, the more anxiety it causes, the more tension it causes in that particular person's mind, and the fear, it also increases in that particular person. All right. So also with the repetitions of such intrusive thoughts and with the growing pseudo fear, a fear which is not there in reality, but it is there in the person's mind. Because of this, a person feels frequently scared and also exhausted. Now let's look at the second key area of OCD, that is compulsions. Now compulsions are the behaviors that people, that is who are suffering from OCD, they feel the urge and the necessity to carry out just to deal with their anxiety problems, to deal with their intrusive thoughts which are coming into their mind. So just to remove the intrusive thoughts, just to have some temporary moment of calmness, such people, they feel the urge to carry out certain compulsive behaviors. All right. So for them, getting into such compulsive behaviors are like coming out of their disturbing thoughts. But it has to be understood, The more a particular person, that is who is suffering from OCD, is getting into such compulsive behaviors, the more prominence they are giving to their intrusive thoughts. And because of this, intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviors, they become a chain. It becomes a chain reaction. So it completely occurs, or it goes on occurring in that particular mind, in that particular person's mind. It will be intrusive thoughts, compulsive behaviors. Intrusive thoughts, compulsive behaviors. So this kind of chain, it goes on. So compulsions are carried out to provide temporary respite and distractions from the scary and stressful thoughts and feelings that are occurring in that OCD person's mind. I'm repeating it. All of these compulsive behaviors that a particular person feels the urge to carry out, all of these behaviors, they do not have any real meaning and relevance. But such people, they just feel the urge, or they feels the urge to carry out. Again, just to have certain moment of temporary relaxation from their intrusive thoughts. So people who have OCD, they try to falsely rationalize their compulsions with some pseudo meanings. All right, so you have to keep this in mind. So let's look at some examples of what are some compulsive behaviors that a particular person who is suffering from OCD, they feel the urge to carry out. So some examples are frequently or continuously washing hands and clothes, avoiding going to hospitals, superstitious beliefs which are unreal and false in nature, counting everything a particular number of times, putting everything in a particular order and symmetry, unnecessary and illogical touching, frequently or continuously checking things, frequently or continuously swallowing, fear of harming others and avoiding social life, fear of being harmed and avoiding social life, fear of driving and avoiding driving, fear of flying and avoiding flying. Flying means avoiding using certain modes of transport, that is helicopter and aeroplane. So they don't prefer to go in flights because they have a fear that something bad might happen. All right. Health worries like hypochondria, psychosomatic illness, etc. In this particular YouTube channel of mine, I have created a particular video especially dedicated to the topic of hypochondria. So you can have that you can look or you can watch that particular video in order to understand what is hypochondria. Hypochondria is completely related, all right, to this topic of obsessive compulsive behaviors or disorders. It goes hand in hand. So compulsions, always remember this, compulsive behaviors or compulsions, they are symptoms of anxiety. All right. They are not the cause of anxiety. They are symptoms of anxiety. So this is what I want you to understand. So let's look at the third key area of OCD, that is controlling behaviors. So people who suffer or who suffers from OCD unconsciously and consciously, mostly unconsciously, but again it is in both the ways. Such people, they try to control other people, they try to control situations, they try to control certain event outcomes in order to control and avoid their anxiety problems and their anxiety symptoms. All right. This is why they're controlling the behavior of other people so that certain situations happens according to them. Certain things are according to them, which will help them to feel a bit relaxed and feel a bit temporarily, they feel a bit a temporary respite from their intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviors. But again, controlling other people, controlling the behaviors of other people, or telling other people, instructing other people to behave in a certain way, instructing other people to place things in a certain way, this is also a part of that person's compulsive behaviors. So a particular person who has compulsive behavior might instruct, might direct other people, their surrounding people, to behave in a particular way which will match their mental processings, which will give them certain kind of a mental relaxation. So I hope you understood. All right. Examples. Let's again make it easy by understanding some examples. Instructing others to keep their clothes in a particular order, controlling behavior. Instructing others to sit in a particular place of the room, controlling behavior. Instructing others to keep and maintain a physical distance, controlling behavior. Instructing others to place objects in a particular fashion, in a certain fashion, controlling behavior. Controlling situations so that they can avoid travel. All right. Controlling situations so that they can avoid going out in public or social places. All right. So all of these are examples of a particular person controlling behaviors of other people, controlling situations, controlling outcomes. All right. People who have OCD. So it is important to understand that even if the particular person who is suffering from OCD, they cannot see their controlling behaviors, means they do not realize that they in some way or in many ways are trying to control the behaviors of others, of outside situations, surrounding events. So such OCD people, they do not have a realization of this. Might be this is true, but it is very obvious to the outside world that there is something peculiar, there is something unusual with that particular person's way of attitude or way of treating other people. All right. So this thing again, everybody needs to keep in mind. So let's look at the fourth key area of OCD, of obsessive compulsive disorder, that is strategies to cover up habits. So strategies to cover up the compulsive habits, if I want to tell it to you in a more proper way, people who suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, they try to abide and live by certain strategies, that is in order to cover up and hide their compulsive behaviors from the outside world. All right. So what are certain examples? Let me tell it to you with some examples. Like a particular person who has obsessive compulsive behaviors or who has obsessive compulsive disorder, they might think and say to themselves, that is, if I come to office at the earliest before anyone else, nobody will notice me rearranging my stuffs and resources in a specific and particular order. So this is the thing they are saying to themselves. This is the thing that they really want to do, so that other people, they do not come to know about their compulsive need to place things and resources in a particular order. All right. Another example, An OCD person might say to himself or herself, that is, if I talk and speak less, others will not approach me and talk to me. Thus, I can maintain my physical distance from everybody. So, a particular person who has an compulsive need, or who has an obsession, or who has a compulsive need to maintain physical distance from everyone else, they always want to stay alone. So such kind of thoughts might come to such people's mind, and these are all strategies to cover up. If they think, they are saying that if I talk less, if I interact less, people will think that I am an introvert and they will not come to me and interact. But this is, they are just doing it so that other people will try and maintain that physical distance that he or she wants. Again, a strategy to cover up their compulsive habits. So again, this cover up strategies to cover up compulsive behaviors, compulsive habits, it can be categorized into 4 categories. All right. What are these categories? One is stay at home prisoner. There will be a lot of OCD people, all right, who will try to stay at home and avoid the public and social life. The reason being, such people, they falsely perceive that staying at home is safer and it will help them to avoid their anxious and stressful thoughts. So they like to stay at home because they feel that if they stay at home, they will be safer from their anxious thoughts and stressful thoughts, because whenever they step out of their home, their anxiety, their stress increases. So they like to stay at home. They do not want to step out of home. So these people are termed as, or they are categorized under stay at home prisoner, a strategy to cover up compulsive behavior. High-tech loners. It's a term given to those individuals, that is people who are suffering from OCD, who distract their stressful and anxious thoughts, that are the intrusions, the intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviors also, by immersing their minds in complex and absorbing activities while avoiding social interactions. All right. So they want to indulge in their mind into something very complex, something very absorbing, so that for a temporary amount of time, they can forget their obsessive or intrusive thoughts, and they can get a bit relief from their compulsive behaviors. But you have to understand that these are only strategies to cover up these obsessions and compulsions. All right, these strategies does not help in order to overcome OCD, because whenever all of these strategies will be coming to an end, again that cycle of intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviors will start. These strategies are only providing some temporary, temporary relaxation. But again, such temporary relaxations, such strategies can also worsen a particular person's OCD, or at least it will not help to overcome OCD at all. Such strategies are only done in order to hide, or a particular person wants to hide from their own problems. One more category that comes under strategies to cover up OCD, like one more category of people, of such people, is self-employed controllers. So such people or such individuals, that are again people who are suffering from OCD, they involve themselves in personal and professional activities where they always want to work from home, or they always want to work with few people, and such situations they want to indulge in because they want to avoid social life. They want to avoid mixing, interacting with people. They want to avoid being a part of the normal world. They want to stay alone because they feel that, again, if they stay alone, it will help, it will keep them safe from their anxious and stressful thoughts. So again, diving into such a situation that self-employed controllers they try to cover up their compulsions simply because they want to avoid social and the outer world. And the last category of people is get on with it anyway, pragmatist. So such individuals, again, people who are suffering from obsessive compulsive disorders, they want to face their anxieties. Such people who come under get on with it pragmatist. They want to face their anxieties. They want to deal with their anxieties. However, means it is like, even if they are going out in the outside world, they know that they are feeling stressed. They know that they are feeling anxious when they are with other people. They know that they are feeling anxious when things are not placed in a certain way, but they are dealing with them. They are not trying to control other people. They are not trying to control the outcomes and situations. They are letting things the way they are. But the problem is, it is not helping their anxiety and OCD issues. They are still suffering from it, and they know that they are suffering from it, but they are not doing anything about it. What they are doing is they are accepting at least that yes, they have OCD issues and they are dealing with it, and they are not doing anything to cover it up. They are not doing anything to hide from them. But again, such people, they have a lot of time feeling exhausted, feeling mentally stressed, because they're always diving into activities where they are feeling stressed and anxious. All right, so this thing, I hope I'm able to, or I was able to make myself understand. So I hope that what I'll do is I'll make a continuation video about OCD, because I see it's already 37 minutes. So might be I will make this particular video on OCD in parts. This will be part 1, and the coming video will be part 2, where I will be discussing about the 5 classes of OCD sabotage. Then I will be discussing about 2 rules which a particular person needs to understand and follow in order to overcome their OCD problems. And what I will discuss further is the effective steps or the effective tips in order to overcome OCD in a sustainable way. So all of these points I will discuss in the upcoming video. All right, so please come back for the part 2 video of this particular OCD or the OCD subject.